Greetings and salutations. Welcome to another episode of 365 Days of Gaming. I appreciate you taking out time to check out this video. Comment, share, like, subscribe. All those things are greatly appreciated, so thank you in advance. Let's get right into it. So we're going to talk about a game in the MetroidVania category that really doesn't get talked about much anymore, because it kind of came out before this new wave over the last 5 years of the Metroidvania type of games. But it was also one of those games during the Xbox Live days where these, I won't say indie titles, but definitely not AAA titles were coming out. A lot of them were really, really good. So the one I want to bring to you today is called Shadow Complex. Now, some of you may have heard of this game and some of you may have not. But essentially you played Jason. You went on a hike with a young lady you had recently met named Claire. And all of a sudden, as you know, things tend to happen, you in the middle of some sort of terrorist organization that's dealing with all of these high-tech weapons, and they got this facility and it seems like it's go time, and they think your girl is a spy for some sort of organization. And of course your character has been not necessarily military trained, but definitely had the training of someone who definitely knows what they're doing. So you got some skills, right? You got the ability to know how to use firearms. You can do some basic, close quarter combat. And it kind of goes from there, which you eventually get in this mech suit and, having all these different abilities. And, it's one of those games that it doesn't necessarily hold your hand, but it does a great job of kind of letting you discover things while also not giving you too much at one time. Got a great map system where you kind of know what the objective is and you can kind of see the path that you're supposed to take, which is really good, especially for those who aren't necessarily used to that style of games, because for some people it can be very daunting of a task to have a big map and not necessarily have any directions on where you're supposed to go. But I always thought this game was really good pacing, really good gameplay, controls, everything felt smooth, everything felt very clean. It was very easy to play, easy to jump into. And I just remember being in the Xbox Live party with my friends and everybody playing the game around the same time. So it's like, oh, what part you on type of thing. Don't tell me what you just did. I don't want to hear nothing. All the things that made party chats great back in the day. I know nowadays I'm going to sound like an old man here talking about back in my day, which was only a decade ago. But, now everybody's in Discord and things like that. Back then, the party chat was where it was on the Xbox. Without all of the extra stuff that you got from the Modern Warfare 2 lobbies that everybody seems to love, that I did not. But anyway, yeah, Shadow Complex is one of those. It was, $14.99 games. Came out around the time of Trine and, a few other of those classic games that, was just these downloadable games are really starting to be good, and they're really starting to make noise, and they're worth the purchase. And a lot of times you're getting more from these games at that time than I felt like we were getting from some AAA releases. So this was definitely on that list of games that I always would tell people, look, you're looking for something that you probably didn't play if you didn't play a lot of the Metroid or you played the Castlevania games. This is definitely of that type, but you don't have to be the best type of gamer in order to do it. You don't have to be super gamer, as some people like to say, where it's going to be so difficult only a handful of people can beat it. This game can be difficult in certain times, but it's really about you learning how to use each weapon efficiently, using your tools, looking for alternate paths, you don't have to find all of the power-ups to even beat the game. Honestly, you can find basically the ones that give you as part of the story. Everything else is pretty optional, but I enjoyed this game so much that I always wanted to try to find as much as I could. I don't think I found everything, but I was happy with my playthroughs. So I felt like this was definitely a game that I wanted to make people aware of, because it's all about giving flowers to the games that, not every game is going to be a box office smash. These games were definitely doing things that were really cool, maybe not as innovative as some AAA releases or even other indie releases, but this game is very solid. And, I always thought, man, it'd be really cool if we got a sequel, but it's one of those kind of one and done games, which is cool. I kind of like stories being told as, a complete set, and not necessarily trying to set up a franchise every time, a new game comes out. So if you are a fan of these type of, Metroidvania type games, this is definitely up your alley. And if you've played this, then I'd definitely like to hear your thoughts on it. As always, I appreciate you checking out the video. Y'all have fun. Y'all be safe. Peace.